Yes, okay. So she will be seen and heard, and she wants to participate in any way tonight, starting at 5:30, I think. Okay, let's go to item number 2, minutes of the January 21st, 2025 special, 4:30 PM, regular 5:30 PM, and also January 28th, 2025, 4:30 PM special meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Chenault, second.
Yes, ma'am.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 3, A through K, departmental and agency reports. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chenault. Is there anything anyone would like to lift out of A through K? If not, all in favor, aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 4, A through, sorry, I'm clipped. A through H, again, information only. Anything anyone would like to highlight in those informational items? Okay, we don't need to take any action on that. Now we'll move to our work session. And this evening, we will be joined by Clark County Coroner's Office, Neil Oliver, who is our coroner. And he is going to give us his 2024 report. Mr. Neil, come forward, please. Thank you.
I said you'd be quick. I am. Are you done?
It took a long time at the fiscal court meeting. I mean, it was a long meeting.
That
Like,
was
you were up
pretty
there
good,
so
too.
long.
But it wasn't my, right? Okay. Hey, thank you for having me today. Like she introduced, my name is Neil Oliver. I'm the Clark County coroner now here, over the county, but a little bit of my city type background. I retired after 21 years of being firefighter, paramedic, and major at the city fire department. That's my little bit of city connection there on that. All right, I want to give you my annual report. First, I want to start out with a little bit of history of the coroner's office. It was first established with the adoption of Kentucky's first constitution. So that's how important office that they realized that was, is with the adoption of the first constitution. They recognized the sheriff, the judge executive, and the coroner. And the coroner was actually, as I understand it, was kind of in place to do the job on death investigation, but also to keep an eye on the sheriff and the judge to make sure that they were lying right there.
Neil, just so you know, we have a TV back there also. So it's not that we're not looking at you, we're also following you instead of turning around.
That's
So I don't
fine.
want you to think we're being rude. Okay.
You're by far more of the livelier bunch. Coroners and deputy coroners, we are considered law enforcement officers. We have the right to carry a firearm with proper training, powers of arrest and search and seizure at a crime scene or at a death scene, I should say. And one of the falsities was that the coroner is the only one that's allowed to arrest the sheriff. That is not true. Anybody can arrest the sheriff, the police chief can arrest the sheriff. But he's just got to live with consequences if he does. I'll be back with I want to introduce my staff. From left to right is my newest deputy, Andrew Fulton. He just completed basic training last week and he's already hit the ground running. I have my chief deputy, Katie Lyle. She's the one that's in charge if I'm not around or not available. Steve Hardy is a deputy. He's been with me since 2022. And then, of course, myself, which I've been the coroner since 2022 upon the passing of previous coroner Robert Gayhart, and then subsequently won the election there. All right, our training, part of that is what I was explaining a little bit earlier, is we're required to complete a 40-hour basic training course on how to do our job. And then every year we are required to do another 16-hour continuing education training. But we try at our office, we go above and beyond that. We go out and seek additional training. So you never can train enough to learn tell them what to do. Our duties that fall under the coroner's office, we investigate all out of hospital deaths, that do not fall under the hospice care, deaths in the emergency room and in the hospitals that are unnatural, patients that have not been admitted for over 24 hours, or in some extreme cases, if they have been admitted longer, like if it may be a result of a homicide, drug overdose, or any kind of accidental death, we still have jurisdiction over that. Our main goal is we determine the cause and the manner of death. We perform physical exams as needed on the bodies. We draw blood for toxicology testing and send that off to our laboratory. We do transport bodies to the medical examiner's office for autopsies. We work hand in hand with other law enforcement officers, like the Winchester Police Department, Chief Thompson, the Sheriff's Office, KSP if needed. And I should say we also work alongside both the fire departments as needed, animal control, whatever is needed as a group there, we will work together there. We complete our state issued death certificates in a timely manner. That's a big stickler of mine to get those done, because people are really dependent on those sometimes. We maintain records and open records requests, death notifications to the appropriate next of kin. And I'll talk a little bit more about it here in a minute, but one of our things is that even if there's a death out of the county, like in Madison County, Fayette County, and the family lives here, they will call upon us to knock on that door and make that notification. Even from other states, I should say, as well, on that. And then by law, I'm required to conduct a child mortality review board meeting. And what that is, we review all deaths of children in this area under the age of 17. We review their deaths and go over them and try to come up with a plan on maybe what could have done to prevent that. With prevention, even if we don't have any deaths within that quarter, we'll still have convene a meeting to go over things about child fatalities.
Now, what is a medico-legal exam?
That is like a physical exam. It's not like, it does go as far as an autopsy where we open the body, but we do a physical exam of we look at them, photograph injuries. So that's what we do, and we do that on site at our office. Then, and I said testifying for. Then one other thing I wanted to add, it was kind of thrown upon me, and I didn't mind taking this on. I had an older gentleman call me a couple of weekends ago and said, "I think my daughter's dead in Louisiana, and you help me find out." I started researching, and I did find where she had passed away down in a parish down in Louisiana, and I was able to connect them up because he needed to find out. Plus, they didn't have a next of kin, so that kind of helped get her identified and get her to her family there. So that's some of the other things that is not really up there, but it's like everybody does, the police and thief and all that. We have those other little things that are on the bottom of that job description list that we do that's not mentioned there on that. I was going to show you our vehicles that we have. We have 3 vehicles right now. We have a 1998 Ford van, a Econoline van that was bought when it was considered surplus from Fayette County in 2009. Robert Gayhart bought that van, and we've had that ever since. So I believe we're at the point on that van that where we can actually get historical plates for it. 2014 Ford Expedition, which Mr. Gayhart also purchased, and we still have in service. And then jailer Frank Doyle heard that we were in dire need of a vehicle and just weren't going to be able to get one. and he had a van that he was getting ready to surplus from, the jail, so they transferred that over to us that we can use for now. But hopefully we can get a new vehicle in the future. On that. Go ahead, sir. All right, our facilities, we have a 3,200 square foot office in Bay Area. The mayor, you've been out there, city manager's been out there. You see, what we have, our offices, the outside of our office. And then our Bay Area, it's not climate controlled, and right where you see right there is where we do those physical exams, when we draw blood, right there.
Right where that cooler is?
Right in that area, that is our morgue cooler right there, and the vehicle to the right there is actually a state-owned, they park that there, that's a mobile morgue that will go anywhere in the state that there's a natural disaster where a morgue is needed, or they've used that where they've had a hospital that their morgue has gone down, and they can take that there for that hospital to use as a morgue.
Is that your front door? Is that your front door?
That is the front door, waiting on the weather to,
Looks like it's got the measles.
well, waiting for the weather to warm up so we
Look
can
at that,
paint.
that's. Okay,
Yeah, winter has been hard on it.
so
But-
Neil, when a body comes in, you all store the body in that cooler
In
right
that
there?
cooler, yes. Yeah, that is a
Can I
10
say
by
something?
16 cooler.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
That's deplorable. A floor and the shape that's in, and I hope to goodness you all get a better facility soon.
We're
Sorry, I
working
just
on
needed to
that.
say that.
Everything is finances, and funding is the issue. I'm spending all the time I can to try to find the funding for that.
If I remember when I was out there, there were holes in the ceiling in that section also, am I
There it is.
correct?
But we're working diligently, trying to get it fixed up. What we can on our budget. All right,
That's terrible.
getting into our calls. In 2024, we had 235 calls for service. That includes 148 death investigations, 79 cremation requests, and if someone passes away in Clark County and they choose cremation, we have to sign off on that. We have to make sure that there's no investigation going on, that there's nothing that's not traveling right on that. So we have to look into that. It might take an hour and a half to look into that. We have unclaimed bodies. And what that is sometimes the funeral home won't come pick them up. And that's not local, everything I've dealt with is out of town funeral homes, because they fear the people don't have money. And we wind up finding, luckily, I have found family on 3 of those, and they were able to take over the care of their loved one's funeral wishes. And then, one wound up being a ward of the state, which we wound up making sure was buried properly.
What did you say last week on the radio? What was the oldest body unclaimed? Didn't you say something on the radio last week about
Now,
1890s or
No,
1920s?
a local funeral home, they had somebody drop off cremains to them from 1932.
That's what it was, and how many people leave
Yeah.
remains.
And I'm, working on now trying to find a family of a baby that was cremated, and their cremains were left in an apartment here. So I'm trying to chase down
Interesting.
if there's any family around here, cause I wanna get that baby to where it belongs to the family, you know.
And you have that baby right now then?
I have the cremains here. Yes. Pickup and storage for CODA, we do that, as you know, the hospital doesn't have a morgue facility. So if, CODA is gonna be able to come, do procurement of organ and tissue, or not organ, but tissue, they need that body stored in a morgue. The hospital doesn't have that, so they'll call upon us from time to time to come do the removal and store until CODA can come pick that body up. And then I said death for other jurisdictions. That's what we do. Are you timing me, Joy?
You got about 2.5 seconds left.
Our manner of death is one of four things. It is natural, suicide, accident, trauma, or undetermined SUDI. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. 110 were considered natural death, with the prevalent cause was cardiac disease, respiratory disease, and sepsis. Was pretty big on this year. Put it there on that. It shows right there the sepsis, pulmonary embolisms, and all the other disease, stroke, hyperkalemia, and others. There was the cause of the natural deaths there. Like I said, with the prevalent one being cardiac disease. On accidental deaths, we had 17 were overdoses, because we consider overdoses as accidental unless someone leaves a note or something that it's suicidal. We consider that no one intends to overdose to die, so those are considered accidental deaths. Which, with 17 overdose deaths last year, we were actually down from 31 the year before. So with
That's
everything going on with the health department and ASAP and all that, I think we are making a headway on the drug problems here in Winchester. Blunt force trauma, that could be a vehicle accident, motorcycle accident, anaphylactic shock. We had a gentleman stung by a wasp. The brain damage and the pending, those could, I think the one of them was due to an overdose on that. I'll be done, so our suicide deaths, we had 4 of those last year, and all those was attributed to gunshot wounds. Undetermined deaths, we had 4, and then what I mean by undetermined deaths, that were waiting on toxicology or waiting on autopsy reports back from the state, that we don't have. I think out of those 4, I just got 1 back, and unfortunately it was an overdose. And the one blue, that's called SUDI. It used to be the old, was called SIDS death. It's called sudden unexpected death in infancy. So that's what SIDS used to be, and that's what that is now. Oh, okay. Our next one is, we broke it down by decedents to residents. And this is what we came up out of those. It was 71 came from a city residents. 52 were from county residents. And out of county is, since we're a regional facility at Clark Regional, or people traveling through accidents, we get a lot of people from Powell County, maybe some from Montgomery County. And that's what that is. Most of those are Powell County residents that we get of that 25.
That are transported like to our hospital?
That are probably transferred from Powell County to Clark Regional once they die in the emergency room there.
Yes.
Yeah. And we still work with those, and we notify the Powell County Funeral Homes, and they take care of that.
We had 123 local deaths last year then, so with that, in 2024.
Mr. Horton. All right, some of our community, and I'll speed it up for Joe, is we participate in the monthly DES meeting, drug overdose awareness subcommittee meetings, the child fatality review boards that we do. Some of the other things, we helped the Winchester Police Department last year when they did a food drive for the kids during fall break, I believe it was, so they would have food. Donated a basket to Clark Regional for the American Heart fundraising auction. Participated in the Joe F. Reed Memorial Heart Walk there. And just to let you know, all this that we do, the food, the basket, comes out of our pocket. There's no tax dollars spent on that. We did our first annual first responder appreciation cookout back in the summer. Chief Thompson was there. I think we had a good thing trying to build good relationships between the city and county fire and police and the sheriff and the jail staff. We fed them, we fed the emergency department staff, our 911 dispatch staff, we fed them. And then after everything was over, the food we had left was enough that we took over and fed the homeless at the Beacon of Hope. So we did that. And again, all of that was either donations from other people or out of our pocket, no tax money for that. And then we handed out candy for Halloween Mania. That's a quick picture of some of our community activities, but you, Mayor, I'm sorry to ruin your reputation.
Thank you, Neil.
But, there's our food drive. There was, Jailer Doyle, he come and helped me cook for the cookout, Halloween Mania. That was our sign. Thank you to all the organizations that helped us. All right, this is, we tried to develop a plan to try to grow the coroner's office, both as, our development, personal development as we do our job and our facilities and equipment. You know, so we put this kind of in plan. We're always assessing the needs of our office. Our one thing I wanted to do when I first started, strengthen our community partnerships with everyone, with the city, with the hospital, with everyone. Add additional training, upgrade our equipment and PPE, upgrade our vehicles, and then work to find funding for a county-owned facility. It might take a while, but we will get there on that. And then last slide, this was part of this, when I did the presentation for the county, it was during that week. That is Coroner and Deputy Coroner Appreciation Week. So I'm open to any questions.
Hasn't the fire department, when you've had trouble getting equipment, sometimes hasn't the Winchester Fire Department helped you with some equipment?
They have, they gave us some old stretchers that we use in the office. There, and I have to say, everyone from the police department, sheriff's office, when it comes to personnel on the scene, we may need a little help lifting or carrying something sometime. And both the city and county fire department have been, more than helpful to us. But yes, Chief Whiteley has been, great to talk with, work with on those stretchers, and maybe talk with a couple other little things that we might work on.
I personally want to thank you for the respect you show the families when you make a call. I lost a relative a year ago, and you were on that call out in the county, and he was handled with dignity, and I personally appreciate that. I don't know how you do the job you do. I couldn't do it.
Pardon?
I couldn't do the job
Oh.
that you do. But you know, I expressed to you the day I was out there that I'm concerned that you do need a better building. We need to respect the dead. And when a family comes in to view a body that's in that cooler or whatever, they need to be in really upscale surroundings. And so I just, I
I'll
hope
be glad if
hope your
anybody
plan
wants to
works.
Take a tour, or if they have ideas, you know, or anything, sit down and talk with me. And if you want to learn more about the coroner's office and what we do, and like I said, I'm always open to suggestions, you know, criticisms, I'm okay with that as well. Well, no, we're always striving to get better, you know.
And I would encourage any of our commissioners that have not been out there, just to go out and spend 15, 20 minutes with Neil and let him show you the facility and what happens.
What's the address?
It's right beside Gaunce's.
Okay.
Yeah, about past sconces. What's my time?
You did good.
Hey,
I think Shannon's got
one
one.
more question, Dale. Can we win the Central this year?
Pardon?
Can we win the Central Division this year?
It could be a wide open race. There's a lot of, as long as they can pitch and hit. It's talking about Cincinnati area, just is. As long as they can pitch and hit at
Neil
the
and I are-
same time and stay healthy.
Neil and I and his son
Yeah.
may be the three biggest Reds fans.
Yeah, so.
Well,
Thank
Neil,
you.
thank you for what you do. Does anyone have questions or comments or?
From the crowd, I don't care.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Okay, well, we're like 32 minutes ahead of time right now. Let me ask a couple of quick things. Are we going into closed session for anything? Okay, does anyone up here have anything for closed session?
I do. I have something under property acquisition KRS chapter 61.810B.
Okay, anyone else? Is Bill in the ceiling?
Yes.
Bill, do you
Yes.
have anything?
Well, yeah, probably just a little bit about potential litigation under 810C, 61 810C.
Okay. All right, let's just go ahead and adjourn to closed session. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn to close session under KRS chapter 61.810B and 810F. And at the end of that closed,
Excuse me. He didn't say personnel.
oh,
Yeah,
I marked it on the wrong one. I'm sorry, 810B and 810C. And at the end of that closed session, we also declared this part of the meeting closed also.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Cox and
Well,
Commissioner
I
Cool.
made the motion.
Yeah, I see Commissioner
Oh,
Cox and
okay.
Commissioner
Okay.
Cool. All in favor, aye. Any opposed by like sign? We will now retire to the city manager's office. Okay, folks, we'll be back by 5:30.
All right, so this was one that's been muddled around Main Street, when it was back Main Street Winchester, which is also Winchester First. Both of those organizations are now no longer in existence. And this is just an outline of, last meeting was, challenged to kind of go dig up the information myself. And this, project was something that was originally worked on by Peggy McAllister as well as Meredith Guy. What they did was they took a map of downtown, took it all around to downtown business owners and building owners, and asked that they sign the building that they owned or worked out of. And it was what I would consider unanimous out of the active businesses. There's quite a few businesses that have owners that are not active, that are vacant. And so after Miss Guy resigned from the Main Street Board, I received the petition and kind of continued the fight. And then when you're referencing, that was when I brought the petition to City Commission that was framed and basically made the initial request, and have made a couple of requests since then. So since the last meeting, I was challenged to go get some information from the state direct. And I spoke with, actually texted Mr. Gray, and then they directed me to Casey Smith with the Kentucky Department of Transportation Office, District 7. Now, here's what we need to do this if you guys would like to head down this path. Step one is a resolution from the city. You would need a map. It does not have to be a survey. The map that is included in your packet here was actually given to me by the State Department. So they're okay with this map. You can actually use this one. As I said, doesn't need to be a survey. The northern boundary is 89, which is Washington Street, goes down to the Bluegrass Heritage Museum at Boone Avenue, and in addition include West Lexington, Maple. Now, the timeline for this alteration is 1 to 2 months to execute at the DOT level. Where that comes in play is if this commission says, yeah, let's head down that path, then the Kentucky DOT would have you guys enter into a contract. They would say the road's yours. As far as we're concerned, the road is 100% yours. You start maintaining it. You can do alterations to it. You can do crosswalks, lights, whatever. It's yours. However, it'll take 2 years to actually do the transfer. Actually deed it will take 2 years. So it's kind of like a trial period. Once the Documentation is done with the DOT. You would get a official letter from the Kentucky Department of Finance evidencing the deed transfer, and that will take about 2 years. Now, the good news is, here's the key points. There's no cost to the city of Winchester. The road, per the contract that they'll provide you, must continue to be open to the public. So that means you can still have events and things like that, but day to day, it has to be open to the public. Can't be sold or transferred to a private individual. I can't buy it. Additionally, if at any point the city doesn't want it, it automatically, per the contract, reverts to the state. The above items will be included in that contract with the state, and once the city assumes their quote responsibility, it'll take about 2 months to get the State Department of Transportation to sign off on. Now, the points of correction I want to make is it will not take 3 to 4 years. And I believe your predecessor actually said that the state would ask you to take on a lot more property. That's not entirely true. It would just be West Lexington. And that's all evidence in your all's map that they said they can use 100% as an addendum to the contract they would provide. So there you go. It's sort of, like I say, this is as far as safety. If the city did decide to go down this path, within that 2-year period, if you decide we don't want to do it, it's too expensive, it's too much of a pain, it automatically goes back to the state. If after the deed transfers and 3 years, 5 years, 15 years into it, you say, you know what, we don't want it anymore, it's too much expense, it's too much of a pain, whatever, it reverts back to the state as well. So there's zero cost, and in my opinion, zero risk, other than you would have to maintain and upkeep it.
Yes.
But that would afford us the ability to do improvements like crosswalks. I know that when Palmer Engineering up here, they absolutely said it would help streamline the process with the high side. So that's where we're at. This has been a petition ongoing for multiple years, and I, for one, would like to have some decision, yay or nay, head in that direction, so I can quit beating this dead horse.
Well, I'm gonna say just a couple things, and Brian, didn't you tell me the crosswalks cannot be altered?
Record. No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that for myself.
Would it be a state road or would it be a city road?
Okay, so just a couple of things. You know, we can't just wave a magic wand and poof, it becomes a city street.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we all know that, because it's a process.
Well, and I'm not asking to maybe wave a magic wand. If you do a resolution,
Yes, I understand, same thing.
then it's not the same thing as waving a magic wand.
The city right now, I don't think, has any intention of moving forward until the high side is done. So but everybody can speak for themselves, okay? I'm just gonna read you some notes that I've been sitting at home all afternoon working on. And I'm personally am not saying that it's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm not rendering any opinion right now about which way I think it should go. I talked with Brian and found out that Main Street was first paved in 1886. And then it's been repaired numerous times over the years. And at this time, Public Works has no idea what's under the street, nor do I, nor do you, nor does anybody in this room. We don't know what's under Main Street. According to the Sanborn maps, there are 5 cisterns downtown. One of those cisterns happens to be, there's 3 on Main Street, 3 cisterns. And one at Main and Washington Street. There's one in front of the courthouse, and there's one in front of the Methodist Church. And we don't know until somebody goes and looks or something happens, what's actually under our streets. There's also one on Lexington Avenue at Main that we feel like the state would continue to maintain. And then there's also one at Maple and Broadway that we feel like hopefully the state would continue to maintain if we were to do this. So our last minutes were dated August 17th, 2021. That's when you appeared before us, I think, at that time, under a different administration. And the letter from the state, which I just handed to each of my fellow commissioners here, It's dated September 29th, 2021, from the state. And what they have said here is they are willing, quote, to entertain the idea. Now, this is 2021, okay, and I know this is 2025. That they would recommend transferring Kentucky 2344, which is South Main Street, between Boone Avenue and Lexington Avenue to the city. The city would have to accept the additional mileage from Lexington Avenue to Boone to maintain. The Federal Highway Administration would most likely have to become involved because we're changing, redirecting traffic from US 60, and you have that reflected in your drawing, I think. And then the sections of, because they're part of the United States route, so that would have to be redirected. And we're thinking probably that would be to Maple Expressway, if that were to happen. We don't have any verification on that. We also would have to start maintaining 2 stoplights that we do not maintain right now. South Main at Lexington Avenue and Main and Broadway, and possibly Main and Washington Street. Brian seems to think the state would help if we were to do this, to continue the maintenance of that, but that's pretty expensive. I've also had him look up for, so we all just have the information, the total minimum cost of maintenance from Lexington Avenue to Boone is 788 linear feet from Lexington Avenue to Boone. And the annual cost is $10,204.33 to maintain. So I think my question is, and feel free to help guide me through that, is what are we gaining by doing this? Just give me an answer in a minute, wherever you think. And, you know, we're responsible to all taxpayers that live in the city. And I just want to be sure we're determining the benefits, whether the benefits outweigh the cost.
Sure.
Because there is cost to it, and the street lights, for one thing, Chad, are just exorbitant.
Well, and if it's, and this was part of the conversation back when we first presented, is we don't know what's down there. And of course,
No, we don't.
we never know. The good news is you've got a built-in insurance policy, so when you start digging and go, oh boy, there's, you know, something down there, it reverts to the state. The other part of it is, if it's a cost prohibitive of being $10,000 to $12,000, correct me if I'm wrong, the TIF funds should be well above that per year. We're all putting in money into our buildings are sold, they're being improved, the tax base is rising, and you got a TIF fund that says you can actually use this for public infrastructure. This 100% would knock that out on a yearly basis based on our investment. Now, the benefit is we can finally do some of these things, these plans that have always been just a plan, like crosswalks improvements. We can't have a better pedestrian base down here without having safety. And we can't do that without it being our road. We can alter the parking. We can do some of these bulb outs, or we can do some decorative crosswalks, or we can do lighting across the street, all kinds of stuff. It would be ownership, finally, of our Main Street. And like I said, to me, the win is you dig into it and you find something you don't like, you know, there's an Indian burial ground or something, it reverts back to the state. Sorry, guys, we can't do it anymore. And they'll take it. And that will be in the contract that they provide you. And as far as the connector to Boone Avenue, this updated map that they provided, and this is from the DOT themselves, shows nothing in that regard. It is from the Bluegrass Heritage Museum down in Washington, and then it goes past West Lexington. That is the updated one that they provided me and said this map will work for our contract if you guys head down that path. As I said, I know it's going to take some time, and it's not waving a magic wand. However, Main Street can be ours in 2 months. We start taking care of it.
I'm just not sure why we want it to be ours. That's just me personally. I've got other people sitting here and kitties in the ceiling.
Well, and
or
again,
something.
it's one of those that
He's in the ceiling.
But
sometimes.
I'm just concerned about the maintenance cost. If something happens and we're gonna become responsible for that guttering, the curbing, you know, and I don't want to take away from our neighborhoods by putting it all on a stretch of street downtown.
Well, this would be something that would be in my opinion, a massive benefit to downtown that is echoed by multiple business and building owners. And it's not just me up here standing and saying this. I just happen to be the one still carrying the flag because I feel responsibility. Even though Main Street and Winchester First are gone, that was something that a city board decided to take to the commission, and it's yet to be truly discussed or decided.
And like I started out with, I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm not
Sure.
saying I'm against it. I just want to be sure what the benefit is for this community before we put taxpayer dollars in and include public works.
Well, that's a good
And-
news too. If we actually use TIF money, it's actually ours. So the buildings downtown that are contributing by buying buildings more expensive. Everybody know what a TIF fund is? I don't want to go down that path if you don't understand, but basically it's the gap between the original cost of value pre-TIF being established and the excess that goes into its own fund, and that money can be utilized for public infrastructure. So the additional cost, if we tap into the TIF money, would be zero. All we gotta do is make 10 grand out of TIF money, and I'm sure it has to be that, if not considerably above. And I know that was a conversation we had back when, but I think if I recall, it was in that $40,000 to $50,000 a year range. But
Do you mind if I ask Brian or Mike or Palmer or anybody if they want to make any comments on this? Brian, will you come up here? I'm sorry. Chad, you didn't have to sit down.
The 10,000 would be per block. So
Per block.
you're talking 3 blocks there, so you would be looking at roughly 30,000 per year, and that's not that you're gonna be spending $30,000 every single year, it's just looking
When
at the
you do
payments for the
spend it,
life
yeah,
cycle
yeah.
and dividing it out over the life cycle. per
So
year.
like Washington to Broadway's 10,000,
Yeah, because every block is roughly the same.
around
distance.
10,000 maintenance. We would
Total
just,
is about
we would
20.
assume.
Yeah.
So a potential of 30,000 a year there, right? Okay.
And then as far as the traffic lights are concerned, I don't know pricing on those, what it would take to maintain those.
Do we have anyone up there that knows how to work on those, or
I mean,
we'd have to train somebody?
there have to be some training,
Yeah.
because the only light we currently have is a flashing light at Shoppers and Martin Luther King, and those are the simple.
Yeah.
That we got actual stoplights in these
Yeah.
3 spots.
Yeah, and those are a lot more complicated when you get it dealing with sensors and timers and everything, so we would definitely have to train them on that.
And Chad, I'm like Joel, and I really don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. It seems like it might be good. But despite every effort I've had, I haven't been able to kill this high side project yet. I'm still working on it every day. I call somebody every day. I talk to somebody every day with the full of intention of driving a stake in it forward. But until I can do that, or until the bids come in next month, and they're 11 or 12 million bucks, like I think they will, and like contractors tell me they will, it's moving ahead. Until that's done, I don't want to jeopardize a cent of this state money. Because we could put ourselves on the hook where kids that aren't even born yet are going to be paying for the bill for the high side of Main Street if the state decides, hey, well, it's not a state road anymore. You can't have the money.
I'd say that's my only concern, but in the opposite way of my feelings about the high
Yeah.
side project. Which what the next piece on the agenda is, I mean, it's all through the FHWA really. But no, I agree. That's my concern is how that could change the project.
And you're right, it could.
I just
We
don't-
just
I don't
don't
know.
need, there's unknowns
Yeah.
here.
I have no idea.
I mean, you get some idiot down there at the State Department of Transportation, and I'll say it, you can't swing a dead cat around there and not hit one. Might decide, well, it's not a state road. We're not releasing the money.
I would say if there was another step to take in a direction of any of this moving forward, it's somehow any or all of us figuring out how that works. And if maybe Mr. Flynn knows.
Thank you, Brian. Mike, would you come up? If that, I heard you go, ah. That's all I heard.
I would request that, Chad go back to the state, or whoever needs to go to the state and ask them for a draft contract. I want to see the contract. I think that's what's going to dictate what's going to happen. If they'll draft a contract for us to review, for Bill to review, for the legalities of it, in order that we can make a determination, I think that would bring a lot of light on the subject matter that we're speaking of. I honestly don't believe, and I'm going to be truthful, either side, on both sides of this, I don't think it's going to impact anything that's going on with the Main Street High Side. Those monies are allocated, they're there, with hopefully the commission's approval of the MOA tonight that's on the agenda. We'll be able to submit that documentation, you'll be able to receive those funds, and they're in the account, we're ready to bid, ready to move forward with the project. I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think it's going to be more of what's in the contract. And then I guess, I heard Chad, he made an interesting comment that I wasn't aware of, and and he probably knows and has talked to these folks in regards to, we're able to turn this back over to them. Well, my first question would be, if we go down here and put in a bunch of stuff that they don't like, and then all of a sudden we say we don't want it, we're going to have to bear the cost to bring it back up to the standard that they would want in order to turn it back over. I don't know that that's the case.
We would need that in writing.
I would want to know the answer to that question if we did that, because like you said, if we can't turn it back over to them, then what do we have to lose? We do get to see, and I'm on both sides of the fence right now. I don't know I'm sitting on the fence, and until I see a contract and see what they're saying, I would be leery of doing anything. So my initial thought to you guys would be request a contract, a draft, so you as a commission could review that, seek counsel from your legal counsel as well, and let staff review that, let Brian review that, let people that are going to be impacted by that review it and have the opportunity to speak about it.
Well, and we've also seen what great partners the state is with us, like when the street collapsed up in front of WMU. Are we still cashing those checks we got from them, Mike?
Well, I will say that the state did help pave on some of that, Shannon.
Help pave.
Yes, and that's the limit of their responsibility as the agreement is outlined
But
today.
even though it was their street, we had to fix everything under.
Yes, sir, we did,
And once again, those checks
Yeah.
came in every day, didn't they?
I'm not, and I'm not saying that they're the easiest. They're sometimes difficult to work with, but I will say that our staff, Brian and himself, myself, and some others included, we have a good working relationship with some of those guys that are there. Some of the ones that have been there for a long time, and I think at times that there's a lot that's unseen that happens, that they provide a benefit to us. Maybe not in a monetary fashion that we see in cash, but in equipment, manpower, and some of the other things that folks can't see. So we tap those relationships on a routine basis, and I think I think it keeps it open, and there are a lot of folks along the Main Street corridor that want to see this happen, and at the end of the day, if it's beneficial to everybody that's involved, then that's what we want to do.
We just need to weigh the benefits versus the
But
cost.
a contract would help you determine. I think a contract would help you to determine.
Do you want to ask the state for that?
I would.
Or you want Chad to
I
ask
would
the state?
prefer, since he's been in contact
Right,
with
right.
them and he's talking Casey. I know Casey. I know
Yeah.
Kelly Baker. I know
I know
all of
Kelly
them.
will. Yeah.
So if he can have a contract submitted to us, then I think
A
that
sample contract, a sample contract.
sample contract.
Just a
of
draft.
what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Chad, are you willing to do that? Okay, anybody else? Joe, you have any comments or?
Joelle, and I would like to say something.
But that
Oh,
individual-
Kitty wants to say something, Weber.
and Chad knows this, we were involved with Main Street at the same
You're
time,
gonna
and
have to speak up, Kitty.
we were involved at Main Street at the same time. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
Um, and I was a proponent for us taking over Main Street, and Chad knows that. I think pretty much of our board was, don't you, Chad?
Yeah, if I recall, it was unanimous, yeah.
And I would love that if it makes sense, but I don't want Brian to be stuck with, we have to take care of paving, of snow removal, of everything. So we don't know what kind of money we're looking at, but I think we need to find out once and for all, is it feasible?
Well, if it's our street, we have to do paving, snow removal.
Well,
all
that's
that.
that's what I just said. That's what I just said. I mean, expense wise, what are we adding on to for every year?
Yeah, we just need to look at it a little more closely.
Exactly. I think so too.
You know, I don't think any of us have said we're 100% for it or not against it.
Exactly.
I haven't heard that, but, I
I'm
think
here
we've
for
got a plan. If you'll do that, Chad, if you can have it by the next meeting, we'll put it back on the agenda again. If you think it's gonna take longer than
No,
2
no,
weeks or
I
whatever,
would assume this will
we
be in
can
a
do that.
couple
I just
days.
don't want you going out and saying Mayor Reed's against this project.
No, no.
Okay, I don't want to hear that.
No, I'm not.
All right, just be sure. Um,
Not yet.
you better take the not yet off
That's
there.
right, that's right.
Okay, we good? Got a plan? Everybody agree? Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you.
and let Joy know if you will, if you end up getting that before our next meeting, Chad, and we'll put it on.
Yeah.
It'll go back under old business again. Okay, item 3, Madam Clerk, resolution. Would you please read that for us?
A resolution of the City of Winchester, Kentucky, entering into a memorandum of agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Main Street Sidewalk Project number 0730440 in the amount of $4,444,000.
Hey, is there a motion? This is our high side of Main Street project.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chanel. Any discussion?
Yes, Bruce, last week we met and one of the things I asked you was how much we had spent already and how much of that we are able to spend on our 20% match. Do you have those numbers yet?
Yes, sir. I pulled that report right now. It looks like we're about $253,341.30 that we've done design work and everything for the high side project. I spoke to Mr. Flynn earlier today. He said that money was allocated 2 years ago, and we built that into capital funds, pay that.
And how much of that can go toward our 20% match?
I don't think this is eligible for.
So none of what we have spent already is able to go toward our match, even though somebody stood up here that night and said every penny you spent from this point on can go toward the match. Okay.
Who
That's-
said that?
I think that's a broad
Uh,
statement in a way, like,
Well,
we're still
I didn't
designing.
know till last week that only money we spend 90 days prior to the bid can go toward the match.
And then the continuation, 90 days.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
there's
seems-
a timeline when
Seems
you
like it
can
would be.
recoup some of those costs. And I believe that, is it 90 days?
Strings all over it, and
Back
she
in it.
worked on the strings, worked on the better.
Big.
So she finally cooked it.
Okay, I know
Well, her friend had suggested that she had beef, she had roast
they would be
out,
looked at our
and she did it just like the directions. When she put the turkey breast out, there was a wad of strings. Oh, no. Then when she cooked it, according to directions with these, she put the turkey from the breast on the table and the peas were not cooked. That's it.
If we give the bids out within 90 days or 60 days or whatever it is before.
well within. They're
No.
capable there.
Well, I hope you're together.
What? Tell her I'm zooming. Tell her what I've been doing.
I'm leaving Sunday. Yeah, yeah, I'm leaving.
Which is one of the reasons I have not said anything. They will reimburse us 80 cents.
Found out.
So basically, if we were to spend everything we spent last year,
Directly to you, or are they going to Hilton at first?
have no chance of getting any of that, not even a penny of it back, right?
And she told me this, I guess it's okay. She said it takes her a day or two to.
Get rid of it.
From having written.
Okay, we have a first, motion by Commissioner Toole, a second by Commissioner Chenault. Is all those in favor, aye? Any opposed by like sign?
A resounding no.
Motion carries. All right, item 4, ordinance. This is for second reading, and then our clerk will be doing a voice vote. Joy?
An ordinance amending, this is a summary, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2-2020, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11-86, amending subsections 1I5B and I5C of section 9-57 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Winchester, Kentucky, and relating to license fees and insurance.
He just puts
Is there a
that
motion?
on her face.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Toole, second by Commissioner Chenault. Joy, if you'll do a voice vote, please.
Commissioner Chenault?
Well, I've got a question about it. This says life insurance policy. I thought it was property. This is life insurance policy. But it doesn't mention property tax, property insurance, accident.
Where are you at?
B and C.
It's the fee within
It's-
the insurance company. So like if I'm insured through X insurance company and I have my vehicle and home through the
They say that's none of your chiefs.
well, whatever fee they're charging me is.
Okay, I know that, but this says
Oh,
This was the,
life insurance on the lives of persons residing within the corporate.
this is the exact same one that you all, approved and adopted back in 2020. The only thing that has changed is the 12% instead of. So it said exactly that back in 2020.
Oh, good.
So this doesn't raise the tax on
So are they going back to Hilton?
homeowners insurance. Well, that's not what
but it's not the tax that.
To recoup. Okay.
It's less of a drive from.
no, we pay.
Well,
I don't know, 6 hours.
Oh,
But
that's
I
not bad.
thought we had.
Yeah, that's better than from Winchester.
Oh, yeah.
Property and.
Oh,
casualty
my gosh,
insurance. This
right.
is life
Yeah. So anyway, so we're looking forward to.
Alicia, do you have any comment?
Okay. Don't do that, and then Bob and Wayne, of course, are into the Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something, Mr. City Manager, we can defer to the
You
next.
tell her I've been zooming for
We can.
Let's just defer it to our next meeting. Give Alicia time. I mean, she can't sit there and read that. and try
Well,
to
I
interpret
think
it.
you all did
Believe that
say
this
I
is
did
all
really well. I did
insurance tax.
had all the ingredients.
We collect. The state gives us the authority to collect.
And the maximum's 15%.
We
We've
just,
been at 10%
Been at
since like
10 now, yeah.
2009.
Yeah.
To
2000, well, we've been at 10% since 2020.
2020. And now we're going to 15.
So
What
I
I
have
could-
a recommendation
Well.
for us.
got there.
If Mr. Dykeman says that we can, take it over to the next meeting for second reading, you've got it?
Well, tell Mom hello.
Now tell him hi.
Don't worry about it.
Kitty's on a Zoom.
Too high.
policy, so the fees about the lodging.
They're all about, absolutely, and got it all. I've got it all down.
I love being with her, because, you know, I was involved, and of course, Jim was involved with.
Oh, yeah.
government,
Yeah.
So it's all life, it's all insurance policy.
Policies on
It's-
high risk.
I do too. I mean, she's made me really conscious of a lot of things that I never even gave a
I
thought to.
think Bill needs to look at this and see if it.
Oh, no, they don't. And, but they
Bill,
sure.
can you make a comment, please? We're on our second reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill,
Yes,
can you make a comment on this, please?
I think I think it's second reading. I think I think it needs to go forward. I don't think it's any different than what we've done in the past. I didn't hear the year that Joy referred to, but I know we've done this before.
2020.
2020. Oh yeah, okay. It says it right there. 20 amending it. Yeah. It's just changed the fee.
Is the
So we've
wording
been
different?
collecting it in the past
At 10%.
at 10%.
Commissioner Chenault has a question.
Is the wording different from
I'm glad she has
from the
that.
last
It
time?
would have to-
No,
It'd have to be striked through, so.
the only thing that was changed, the ordinance in 2020
Probably
was
good.
10% was changed to 12%. None of the other wording was changed. And I
I'll
took-
go on your word.
And
And
I
this
took
is
it
the
from the
second reading.
1986 ordinance when I did the one in 2020.
Okay, let's go back again. Let's do roll call vote.
Commissioner Chenault,
Yes.
Mayor Reed.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Tool.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Not,
Strode.
can I not vote?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, Commissioner
Okay,
Strode.
yes,
Thank you.
And Joy, did Commissioner Strode vote on the resolution?
I thought she did.
yes,
You did too, yes.
Okay,
because
I
it's
just
4
didn't
to
hear.
1.
Okay, so we'll be sure she got in there. Okay, item 5, orders 5A through K. These are general orders, Madam Clerk.
In order accepting the resignation of Paula Thomas from the Clark County Winchester Heritage Commission.
And I believe this was because she is now a school board member.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why she resigned. Otherwise, she loved what she was doing on the Heritage Commission. Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chenault. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 5B.
I did not hear Kitty.
Kitty?
Uh-oh.
She froze up.
She's frozen.
Frozen Florida.
Okay.
Kitty,
Oh, there she is.
you want to vote on this?
I couldn't hear you.
We're accepting the resignation.
Yes,
of Paula
yes,
Thomas from the Winchester Heritage Commission.
yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
All right, now let's go back to 5B.
In order accepting the design services modification for the Fulton Road Extension Project from Palmer Engineering.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Chenault. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
aye,
Opposed by like sign.
No.
Motion carries. Item 5C.
In order approving funding from the Downtown Development Investment Fund for Retail Kickstart and New Business Stipend Grants for a certain property located at 2 South Main Street, Suite 220, at the amount of $7,000.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion
So-
by Commissioner Chenault, second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
aye,
Opposed by like sign. Motion carries. 5D.
In order approving funding from the Downtown Development Investment Fund for Retail Kickstart and New Business Stipend Grants for a certain property located at 23 South Main Street in the amount of $7,000.
Is there a motion?
so moved,
Commissioner Tool, second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
aye,
A like sign. Motion carries. 5E.
In order approving funding from the Downtown Development Investment Fund for a new business stipend grant for a certain property located at 10 West Broadway.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chenault. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any
aye,
By like sign. Motion carries. 5F.
An order approving funding from the Downtown Development Investment Fund for a new business stipend grant for a certain property located at 24 North Main Street.
Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Chenault. Is there a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed by like sign. Motion carries. 5G.
An order approving funding from the Downtown Development Investment Fund for retail kickstart and new business stipend grants for a certain property located at 7 North Main Street in the amount of $7,000.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed by like sign. Motion carries. 5H.
An order approving funding from the Downtown Development Investment Fund for an upper story residential grant at 113 South Main Street, units 4, 5, and 6.
Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Chenault, second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
By like sign, motion carries. 5I.
An order declaring certain city of Winchester property to be obsolete and surplus.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 5J.
An order declaring a Ranger DST 1200 tire balancer surplus and transferred to the Winchester Clark County Parks and Recreation.
Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Chenault. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cox. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed by like sign? Motion carries. 5K.
An order declaring certain city of Winchester property to be obsolete and surplus.
Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Cox. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
like sign? Motion carries. Item 6A through D, personnel orders. Madam Clerk.
An order granting educational certification incentive salary increases to certain personnel.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Commissioner Tool, second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed by like sign? Motion carries. 6B,
An order reclassifying Matthew Moses.
Fire Department EMS, correct?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Chenault, second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion?
Kids running
All in
around.
favor, aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 6C,
Sit there.
An order reclassifying Tanya Griffith, Communications Officer 2 to Communications Officer 3.
is there a motion?
Yeah.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chenault. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 6D,
An order accepting the resignation of Lois Patrick, Crossing Guard.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second? Y'all not gonna let her resign as a crossing guard? Okay, thank you, Joe. Second.
Oh, I was trying to write
Is there a-
something down.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries.
I can't write and talk at the same time.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Do we have any items from the general public concerning anything not on the agenda, Madam Clerk? Anyone sign up?
Chuck Witt did.
Chuck Witt, come on down.
Thank you, dear.
Twice as bright.
It does, doesn't it? Well, I'm not Vanna. Of course, that's a different show.
There's about there for each member of the board.
Okay, thank you.
Talk with you briefly about two properties outlined on this map that I presented to you. The planning commission tonight will be hearing a rezoning application for about 200 acres off of Highway 627 South. That's the property outlined in white at the lower right-hand corner of that map. My understanding is that the first phase of that project will include 147 housing units. The other property located across 627, outlined in white, was rezoned several years ago before Boonesboro Trail was constructed. And that property, about 65 acres, was scheduled to have in excess of 160 housing units on it. The reason I bring those to your attention tonight is because neither of those properties is presently within the city limits. And both properties are contiguous to the city limits, which, as I'm sure you all know, runs along the 627 right of way down out to the high school. So the reason I'm here tonight is to recommend that the city act proactively to bring those two properties within the city limits. I think the only way that Winchester can rationally grow in the future is to take these properties in as they become available. And I'm sure Mr. Dykeman can tell you how difficult it is to annex property into the city once development begins. So I think it's imperative that if you are interested in annexing these properties to the city, that you do so expeditiously.
Okay, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to be sure I give Chuck the right information. It's my understanding that annexation has to be requested from the property owner. We can't just go in there and annex them on our own. And I see exactly where you're going. Is the property on the right, the Scobie farm?
I don't know what.
I think that's Dr.
No,
Scobie's old
No,
farm.
it's past it.
It's past it?
Yeah,
Well, there's the senior living right there at the light.
Dr. Scobie's. old
It's right
farm
here. This is
here,
Dr.
isn't it?
Scobie's. No,
My
This is it,
understanding is
right
that
here.
the,
it's right here.
Oh, okay, that's the Ferris property.
That's the
Yeah.
Ferris
Okay,
property.
okay.
And then I think, Chuck, the Ferris property right there is also, it's in the county. It is not contiguous.
But it,
well, if it's all developed as a single piece of property, then it would be contiguous because it's adjacent to your right of way.
Okay.
on 627.
And my understanding is that the proposal for the extension of the bypass will come through that property right there where Old Borough Road meets New Borough.
That's our understanding also. Okay, city manager will have someone review this, let Mr. Dykeman, because he has not seen this. I don't think Mr. Dykeman hadn't seen this, has he, Chuck? Okay. We'll have him take a look at it and advise us. Is that okay?
Sure.
Hey, and while I've got you up there,
Yeah.
let me ask you a quick question. Where are we on the memorial?
We're right down here.
Yeah, but how, but where are we? Nothing's going on, and I'm getting
Well,
upset.
Yeah, I understand your concerns. Obviously, we couldn't do very much because of the weather recently. The Clark County Veterans Council will have a meeting next week, next Thursday. And the purpose of that meeting is to determine what our finances are and where we're going from that point on as far as beginning construction again. The last time I talked with Greg Yates about our financing, we have on hand right now between $4,000 and $5,000. We have no outstanding bills at the moment. The remaining items that we have to purchase will include the brick to finish out the sidewalk where we don't have memorial bricks. We have to buy plain bricks to fill that in. I think that's going to be about $1,200.
Okay.
I just checked recently on the cost of bronze plaques for the benches and for our donor plaques. A donor plaque, 12 by 16 bronze donor plaque would run us $966, and there may be 4 of those, although we think that perhaps we can reduce that number to 2 based on the number of donations we get. The bench plaques, which will be fairly small and be attached to each bench, there'll be 6 of those, and they're about $200 a piece. And those are the only items that I know of right now remaining to be purchased. The additional costs to the project are going to be contractor costs. And I think the only thing Bashir has left to do is to install the 2 remaining granite plaques on the pedestals. Those have been purchased, and I found out today that they're expected in the middle of March. He also has to pour the concrete walk, which will be the base for the memorial bricks.
Okay.
Most of the remaining work after that will be landscaping work, and as far as I know, Jason Stanfield will be doing that. The 7 trees have already been purchased, so the cost related to landscaping is going to be some fill dirt, some additional excavation, probably placing the ground plaques for each individual who died, and doing whatever sodding or seeding that needs to be done, planting trees. So that's a quick rundown of, I
Okay.
think, what's
And-
left to be done. We're still hoping that we'll be able to dedicate on Memorial Day.
Okay, good. So the plaques we're waiting on are the ones that are ordered through the cemetery?
I'm sorry.
Or were those the plaques that were ordered through the cemetery? Is that
Yes,
what
ma'am.
we're waiting on
Yes,
for the
ma'am. There's
pedestals?
There's 2 of those.
Right, on each side?
Yes.
One of, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I talked with Zach today, and he said they should be available in the middle of March.
okay. Looks like Diana called you today, did she?
She did.
Because I've been stomping around down here over that project, so thank you, Diana.
I hope she got my message, but I did call her back.
And thank you, Chuck, for the update. We're just, we don't know where we are. We need to know where we are, and we want to get a finished project.
Well, I'm
So
glad to
looking for
bring-
Memorial
glad
Day.
to bring it up to date. I'd be happy to
Okay.
do that anytime.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And
Okay,
Chad Walker.
Chad,
No, Chad Walker has.
do you have something else, Chad? I'm sorry. Anyone else on there? Joy, anyone else?
No, those are
Okay.
the only 2.
All right.
I got more paper.
Oh, no.
You kill a lot of trees, Chad. I'll be down there in about 15 minutes if you'll
I'm
call.
gonna try to get this done before tip-off is what I'm working on. That's my goal.
I want to watch St. John's and Marquette.
Diana, can you be sure these items get in Kitty's mailbox? Yes. Thank you.
So this is kind of backtracking a little bit as well. This is something that's been on my mind for a bit. The good news is that I think going forward, Whitney has done a good job of sort of righting the ship. But this is specifically a conversation in regards to Beer Cheese Festival and the handling of sponsorships.
Okay.
There's been a couple of debacles, and I've got a history on here if you guys want to get into it. The main point, I guess, is that back in 2022, I was on the Main Street Winchester, then Winchester First, the same organization, but basically Main Street Winchester time, and resigned from that board. And the reason I did resign from the board was because the former executive director was going to go out on maternity leave, and the direction that I received was, as the president at the time, they were going to route the entirety of all Beer Cheese Festival calls and emails, et cetera, to me. Not only do I have a day job, I got a restaurant to run with my wife. That wasn't going to be feasible. So I happily left. But before I did, and this was actually requested of the board, especially Ms. Strode, I'd mentioned that it's a beer cheese festival. Why not have a beer sponsor? And so what was circulated was, okay, go find us a beer sponsor. So I contacted West Sixth, Country Boys, Blue Stallion, Ethereal, and Mirror Twin. And Mirror Twin leases a building from me. Blue Stallion looked at leasing a building from me. And even as recent as about 3 months ago, West Sixth looked at releasing a building from me. So I've got a relationship with all of them, but Mirror Twin does.
Buildings in Lexington?
Yes, Mirror Twin does occupy a building that I own. And so we put together a sponsorship package. We were going for $10,000. Mirror Twin offered $8,500, which is the most of any sponsor, I'm told, to date. And then I contributed another $3,000 for my business. And so that went fine. The following year, there were some hurt feelings, I guess. I don't really know the whole gist of it, but basically there was a mystery sponsor that came in and donated so that we didn't have to have any type of sponsor for Beer Cheese Festival, at least from the beverage sponsors. Then in 2024, Mirror Twin resubmitted their request, and keep in mind they contributed $8,500. And per an email I received, and this is all in your packet, email received from former director Cameron Correll stated, and I quote, The Beer Chiefs Festival alcohol sponsor was selected by the committee based on which applicant we found to be the best fits the needs of the festival, and didn't really give an explanation beyond that. So this year came around and I opened the door again to say, where we at on festival sponsorship? And our new director, Miss Whitney Liggett, said that says after discussion with the committee members, this is all quote, the group does not want to disclose the amount contributed for the sponsorship. So Beer Cheese Festival Committee didn't want to disclose that amount. Then I was directed to do an open records request, which I did. And the Beer Chiefs Festival Committee then told Ms. Liggett, and I quote, please find attached a report from our finance department showing the amount paid by last year's Beer Chiefs Festival beverage sponsor. The committee asked me to let you know that this amount was not discussed by or approved by the committee as a whole, but was solely managed by the marketing and events coordinator that was employed during last year's festival. That sponsor was West Six, and they paid $1,250. Now, what's bothersome, I guess.
Jay, how much did they pay?
What's that?
How much did they pay again? 1,250?
1,250, and that's all in your packet.
Got
They're
it.
all copies. So what I'm trying to figure out is in 2022, the combined combination for my role was $11,500. Either the Beer Cheese Festival Committee or Ms. Correll cost our downtown $10,250 by disallowing two previous sponsors with return. Now, how could this possibly happen with a city commissioner sitting on that board? This is a city board. This is a fundraiser for the city. Ms. Correll stated that the sponsor was, quote, selected by the committee. However, the email from Ms. Leggett stated that the Beer Cheese Festival Committee said that Ms. Correll did this on her own. She just went rogue and found the sponsor, and that's how it all happened. Now, I don't want to throw Whitney under the bus because she's been absolutely impeccable to deal with, and I think she's doing a great job for our downtown. But as far as the past committee, now you got to keep in mind, this is the committee that refused to disclose the sponsorship amount to Ms. Leggett. They, within the course of two emails, the Beer Cheese Festival Committee violated Kentucky Open Records request, or Open Record Act, Open Meetings Act, and ultimately cost the business downtown $10,250. I'm very bothered by this. I don't know why we continue to go down this path of us and them, and we love downtown, or we're all in this together. This shows otherwise. This shows, in my mind, a lack of oversight. I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but this is a huge lack of transparency on the Beer Cheese Festival's part. And I'm not sure exactly who's communicating with Ms. Leggett, because it's relayed to me that it's the committee, but I doubt that the committee get together and said, well, send Chad this information. I'd love to know who that person is that is acting on a city commission, on a city board's behalf, without actually getting together and meeting on it. So honestly, I don't know where to go from here, but this ain't right.
Whitney, would you like to come up and respond to this in any way? And
My only response is that, I'm getting expert from the town and I spoke with Mr. Walker, to make sure that we are righting the wrongs that have occurred previously, so that we're, now posting agendas, posting meeting minutes, posting meeting times and dates, that all decisions are made by the committee as a whole, that we're taking a vote, so that there can be no perception that in the future, one person made a decision, the committee didn't agree on that. So I can't speak to anything that happened previously. I'm still learning how the committee works myself. So I can't speak to what occurred previously, but I can assure you guys that from my perspective, we had a meeting today and we did everything above board that we could to make sure that moving forward, this does not happen again.
Jay, were you at that meeting today?
Yes, it was.
Were you pleased with the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, and that's why I prefaced it. Ms. Leggett is absolutely taking the bull by the horns and making it right. This doesn't, though, excuse what has happened in the past. And as I said, you've got people sitting on the board that are supposed to be acting on behalf of the city, and this is obvious that they're not. And I don't know if it's an additional commissioner on the meeting or changing it up. I don't know, but if if this continues, it's going to continue to hurt our downtown. And I don't know the reasoning behind this. I
Nor
don't
do
know,
I.
yeah, I don't know who the mystery sponsor is. I don't know who, why it was that you leave 10,000, or I'm sorry, $11,500 on the table. I'd rather somebody just say, well, we don't like you. But if that ain't the case, then there's something wrong. And this is a fundraiser first and foremost. And I've never complained once that if you guys want to set up 10 pizza places, put them on Main Street. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's not my purview. It's Beer Cheese Festival. It's a fundraiser. But this isn't the first time. And this is extremely bothersome. I would think that you as a commission that have entrusted this group to be acting on your behalf for this fundraiser, they're not above you guys. You guys are supposed to be the stop in place to keep these things from happening. So
Commissioner Toole, you had any comment? You served last year, did you
did.
not, on the committee?
I did,
We don't appoint any of those
well,
people.
that's what I was
We
gonna
don't, I mean.
say. We don't vote or have
No,
anything to
no.
do with
The
it.
city does not
on
put
this.
anybody on the committee. I just
Okay.
now reading who the committee is.
I think the only time we do is if we budgeted money, and I can't even recall if we budgeted for them in 2024. So I did serve on it last year. I'm not serving on it this year. From what I recall, and my memory could be sharper. To me,
Join
it
the club.
seemed like an ease of the situation. I personally, and this doesn't write the past, but I personally don't think this should be a one sponsor, one person type of situation. When it comes to alcohol, these companies make a ton of money and they have a ton of money to pay to be a part of these situations. And I don't see why it isn't just an open opportunity to have whoever wants to be here.
well, that's a separate issue altogether from this year, or I'm sorry, from last year is what I'm really discussing is this is 100% a city board, whether you guys appoint them or not. It is a city board that manages funds, and Beer Cheese Festival, for lack of a better phrase, is a fundraiser for the city. The
Alicia,
ci-
what is in the beer cheese budget?
It's not specifically just a beer cheese, it's all the downtown events, like, that's where the hot pals or paid on from when we move the money down from, the foundation. We are holder of the funds, and we do like pay the bills and stuff like that, but it was all through on Main Street. So it was just a budget given to me from the former director.
I guess that's an alteration then, because when I said on there, DDIF was 100% separate of what was called beer cheese money, beer cheese fund.
I'll just pass through.
Okay.
It's just, we draw the money down, but
All right. Well, I think that's what Miss Reed is asking,
Yes.
is specifically how much is, or what is in beer cheese fest, because that is only money, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's only money that's collected at the festival day. And that money in turn is supposed to be used to assist, help improve, et cetera, downtown, in addition to the DDIF. DDIF is separate.
Is that correct? I mean, I'm not doubting Chad. I'm asking you if that's correct to your
You
knowledge.
doubt me, it's all right.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I mean, I recall this situation. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't think it was a fight I was gonna fight at that point in time. Wasn't something I put on my plate.
Commissioner Strode, you still here? Commissioner Strode,
Did she drop off?
can you get her back? Will you come up here, please? Uh-oh.
Just wondering if there is a way to separate those two accounts for there to be a separate. I think that would help me, because I get a lot of questions about how much money is in the beer cheese account. And I had asked Alicia that same question, and she explained to me that it was all just like a Main Street account. So I would like to see, I don't know what needs to be done for that to occur, but for those to be two separate accounts, a budget for the other things that I do, and then a budget that comes directly from Beer Cheese so that we can establish, you know, things that we can do for our downtown businesses out of those funds.
I've just eyeballed everybody and everybody's saying they agree. So that's fine. Alicia, if you can divide that and,
If Tom Sparks the letter.
oh, he'll let her.
Yeah, we've got like 30. Maybe council, what's the other one?
Okay, Mr. Walker, what else you want us to do?
Nothing. I would think that this commission would want to track back on this and figure out what went wrong, how it went wrong, and who caused it to go wrong.
Okay.
Because, yeah, like I said, it's when I was on Main Street, there was a little over $100,000 in Beer Cheese account. The money left on the table was over 10% of what could have been in there to benefit our downtown. And honestly, I don't care if Coca-Cola wants to come in and give you all $50,000, then that
We'll
should be
take
the way it is. That's right. Take it all day long. But I think this is something that has become very problematic to a lot of different businesses because this is not above board and this is a little underhanded, definitely not transparent. So I think there needs to be more oversight and without question, I think you're going to have conversations with some of the board members that are still on about how to fix this going forward permanently and what really happened, because I'm getting two conflicting reports. One is saying, well, it's Cameron's fault. She did it all on her own. You know, she went rogue. And then, you know, the email I get over here is, no, the committee decided. So that's not right.
Everything I've ever done that's had sponsorships, we've had some different levels of sponsorships. You had bronze sponsorship and silver and gold and platinum, and the more money you gave, the, you know.
And I think that's going to be the way going forward. And that's what Ms. Leggett has recommended is, yeah, let's, you know, I think the understanding, I don't want to jump in line next year, but yeah, that'll be the way it is if you want to be a main banner sponsor, throw us your proposal together, whatever. But you've got a group that was willing to spend $8,500 versus $1,250. Why did we go with somebody who spent $1,250? And was it truly that our former Winchester First director went rogue without the board's knowledge and just did it on her own? You know, something's not mashing up. And I would hope that you guys as the commissioners would absolutely want to get to the bottom of this.
So, Mr. City Manager, I'm gonna ask if you and Whitney and Alicia will get together and see if we can get to the bottom of this.
Right, and looking at your timeline here, it looks like on March 20th, when you got a response from Cameron saying that it was the committee.
Right.
And then this was brought to light thanks to your work of digging into it. We did investigate, and the committee did say that that was a decision made by Cameron on her own. And, you know, we're committed, especially with Whitney's leadership, to recognize that that was a mistake last year and move forward and make sure that we're not making that same mistake. So I think we are correcting the issue.
Sure.
And we're going to be doing a better job moving forward now that we see where the gaps are in the communication of how sponsorships are communicated to companies. And I would think that probably the next step would be to maybe look at what actually did come in, Alicia, from the beer cheese money, and just report that at the next commission so that we know what it is,
I agree.
where we got it, and then that's how we move forward.
Okay.
Committee themselves, after they, revenue, with extensions.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Strode, are you there now? No, she's still not. Okay. Jed?
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 10, comments from the mayor, commissioner, city manager, and city attorney. We've already had our closed session. Let's start with Commissioner Chenault. Any comments this evening?
I've been meeting with Jeff Lewis, with the park board, and he's supposed to meet again this week. He's taking me around and showing me, what projects that they are involved in and getting me familiar with what they're doing. And I also shared with the, commissioners, the plaque that's in the ground on the corner of Burns, that they would like to have it picked up and put down on Washington Street where Heritage Park is. I think it's two there. I found one. The other one is James Matt Gibbons, Miss Gibbons'
Ms.
husband,
Gibbons?
the other postman. So, those are two things. And,
Who's asking for this, Joe?
I think Sammy Clay. by him
Just some
being a
individuals?
postman and other individuals in the community.
So they want to move from where they are now down to Heritage Park.
Can you send me that? I saw that, photo on your
Mhm.
phone. Can you send that to me and I'll follow up on that?
Anybody okay with that, moving them? Yeah, I don't think that takes any,
Does it take a vote?
Bill, does that take any action for them to move a plaque from a sidewalk to another location?
No,
No, okay, thank you, sir. No, it does not take any action.
I'll
That's-
follow up on that if you send that to me.
So we can get that done. Anything else?
I have a meeting with the WMU tomorrow,
Yes, we do.
and that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Cox?
Got
I'm sorry.
two things. One, you guys have all heard before, but I want to put it on the record here at the meeting about having an ordinance prepared about the what is officially called an engine brake, but it's everybody knows it's a Jake brake that we would do, and ordinance where they can't be used inside the city, and post a sign at the city limits so that folks would know about that. Also, and I've had a request, and you guys will realize about the request after you hear about it. Our February 18th meeting, I was asked if we could do a time change on that, because at 5 o'clock that night, the preschool is having their ribbon cutting grand opening,
At 5.
and at 5 o'clock, and they kind of want us there.
Do we have anything on the agenda for the 4:30 meeting yet, Joy?
Yes, KU was gonna come in and talk. Isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, let's move KU.
You've got Sherry Deeds and all that too.
Yeah, we'll take care of her.
I don't
Um,
know what that is.
So, you don't know what is?
Sherry Deeds. I didn't have anything about them.
I think
that-
she's talking about Sherry Mulkins from Clark Deeds.
Yeah.
It's an engineering company.
They're just visiting.
They're just visiting our
There's nothing on the
community.
agenda to
Okay.
talk about for that.
But you can go with us to the ribbon cutting.
Well, let's move the
So let's cancel the
Main-
4:30
cancel the fourth
and let's move the
30.
main meeting
to
to
6.
6 o'clock. Is that okay with Hannah
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Kitty? Oh, forget she's not up there.
Well, she won't be
Joe,
here.
you good?
I'm good.
Moving it to 6, canceling 4:30? Shannon?
That's fine.
You
I
good?
suggested. So,
I'm sure you haven't
yeah,
changed your mind.
yeah.
Can we get a vote on that?
Is
So moved.
motion, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Tool. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed, by like sign? Motion carries. February 18th will be no 4:30 and regular meeting at 6. Will that need to be called a special meeting now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Nothing that's not on the agenda can be voted on.
but we still have had one regular meeting in February?
Tonight, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking by
Yep.
law here. Okay. Want to be sure we're complying. Okay, Commissioner Tool.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. City Manager.
Yes, ma'am. I want to, update the Board of Commissioners that the Administrative Hearing Board met last night. The property at 115 East Lexington Avenue, was voted by the Administrative Hearing Board to be demolished because it's in bad repair. If you remember, the hurricane winds that came through in the fall just, destroyed that building even more. The Administrative Hearing Board has done their due diligence to reach out to the property owner, and the property owner didn't show up again last night at the board. So we're going to be researching, getting estimates, finding funds to proceed with demolishing that building.
That's just an FYI.
That's just an FYI.
Anything else?
I just want to point out that the stigma training that ASAP requested us to do in relation to the recovery communities, we had 33 city employees participate in that
Wow.
training. So
Good deal.
that was very good. That's all I have.
Okay. I don't have any comments this evening other than I do want to say, and I need to say at every meeting, how thankful I am for our city employees. And I really mean that. You guys, I've talked to poor Brian Sewell today until I promised him I wasn't gonna call him back anymore, but I did. We just have really good employees that are conscientious about their jobs and they care about the city and they care about our community. And I value them, as I know the rest of you do as well, with all my heart. And I just want to say thank you again for the jobs you do. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Cox. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor? Go home. We're officially dismissed. Oh, I forgot.